Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey everybody, what's going on? We've got an exciting show for you tonight. We're gonna talk. It's a fresh installment of Snyder Watch.
Yeah.
It's a special day when we get to do a Snyder Watch segment, and I can tell Jesse's particularly excited about it.
Snyder, watch me tear this movie a new one.
Yeah, so Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver, is out. He's so hammy. He's so ham-fisted with his stuff. And we're going to talk about that. But first, I almost went Porky Pig on you. How are you two doing?
I'm groovy.
A bit. Fine.
First off, is Porky Pig still in cartoons? Are they still making Looney Tunes style Looney Tunes cartoons with Porky Pig or whatever?
I don't know, because they did those new Looney Tunes for HBO Max,
right?
And they had, like, the only thing we heard about it is Yosemite Sam doesn't have guns,
right? Well, along those lines, I ask because not to get into the like. Get woke, go broke. Not to get into that nonsense, but I could see them shying away from Porky Pig's stutter.
I don't know. I think Daffy still had his lisp.
Okay, interesting.
Because he's got a lisp, doesn't he? Or is that just Sylvester?
Daffy did. I know at points
Yeah.
he's definitely had it. But Daffy also used to be a much goofier character. He used to be more... Daffy was kind of a Bugs Bunny early on. And then I feel like his Bugs Bunny became a bit more suave, a little less like Screwball. And Daffy, I don't know, maybe...
Daffy got a lot more acerbic,
Yeah.
Something about ducks, man. They're just angry.
They were both like totally Screwball characters earlier on.
Right. His
Anyway.
name was literally Daffy, so.
Right. Yeah, I liked early Daffy Duck. But I was just thinking about that. I could see them shying away from stuttering Porky Pig to be more sensitive to people with a stutter or stammer.
I'm pretty sure he was still in, like, Space Jam. Not that I
Okay.
actually watched it, but it seems like he was in the pictures.
You know, one of the weird things about getting older is...
The gray hair?
No. Is mine's not my gray hair is making me look like I'm balding, but no, this is just like gray. It's not bare. I just realized that. It's not necessarily receding, maybe. Anyway.
See, I just bathed myself in red light so that even my whites are less white.
Smart. I'm just gonna start bleaching my hair. I'm gonna be.
You just go straight white. Yeah. You rock that Bastion look from X-Men 97.
Right. I will be a golden god. No, I was gonna say that one of the more odd things about getting older is younger people, and this is also a result of the age of the internet, but seeing weird people have nostalgia for things that are just terrible, but they love it because they grew up with it. Space Jam 2 exists because there were enough people who were like, yeah, Space Jam. And it's like, unless you were a child when it came out, you should be like, Space Jam, because that movie was awful.
This hot garbage. Yeah.
And you kind of seen that also with like the general change in consent, like general change regarding the attitude towards the Star Wars prequels.
Oh, yeah.
Where they were just universally hated, at least online, by nerds. Universally hated until a certain point when the people that grew up when those came out, or were kids when those came out, hit a certain age. Now it's not as universally hated. And that's
all the kids who grew up on Clone Wars are just like, man, those
Right.
movies were awesome. What are you talking about? Pod racing is the bomb.
which is not. That's pod racing, which is fine. I get like nostalgia is definitely going to color it. I'm sure there's things we're nostalgic for that are kind of terrible.
Oh yeah.
But it's so weird to me. Oh man, most 80s cartoons, like really, if you revisit them, they were so bad.
They were definitely
Thundercats was
hit and
great,
miss.
though.
What was?
I love Thundercats.
You liked Thundercats? Have you watched it lately?
No, but I was Chitara for Halloween 3 years in a row.
I mean, there was definitely cool stuff. I mean, it was cool, but like, go back and watch them now as an adult.
I mean, Moomra, the mummy, as the main bad guy. Yeah, I know it's lame, but there weren't that many strong female characters to look up to when you were a child, and Chitara was the.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, speaking of that, She-Ra is night and day better writing than He-Man. It's the superior show.
Well, yeah, because her background is way cooler than his.
Right.
And I'm gonna guess there was maybe more passion behind a She-Ra show, where maybe they had to kind of fight for it more, as opposed to like, all right, we need to come up with something to sell these toys. The original toys are a little too creepy for kids, so we need to lighten it up a little. You know, it was very marketing. Not that She-Ra wasn't, but well, and that's the thing. Like, I think the concepts behind these toys, and they were not cartoons. There were toys that came first, for the most part.
Right. Yeah.
Are generally cool, and of course they're like cool toys that were made for us at that period. Of course we like it. The ideas are awesome. The designs are, at the time, seem pretty awesome. But then, like when you revisit the actual cartoons that they produced to sell these to us, yeah, I mean a little lame, a little soulless. Right.
Kind of surrounded by it, yeah.
You're surrounded by it.
The most genius marketing campaign I've ever seen. When my nephew was really little, every time you bought a toy at Toys R Us, they would put a DVD in there. And the DVD was for a line of toys that they had made themselves or whatever. And it was like different episodes or whatever. So he wanted all of those toys, and we got them for him because it was a good cartoon and it were cool toys. But I'm like, they know exactly what they're doing. They're like, oh, look, children, a free DVD of cartoons. And they're like, yay. And then, of course, you know, basically half of it is an ad afterwards showing all the toys that you can get of it. So, but it was very smart of them.
You know what? Even if you revisit the cartoons that we grew up on, and most of them are terrible, the fact that they were like, you know what? RoboCop, R-rated.
Yeah.
That's for children now. We're going to make RoboCop toys. Of course, we need cartoons to market it to the kids. RoboCop, the Toxic Crusaders, which is Toxic Avenger stuff.
Mm-hmm. Rambo,
like, they would market that crap to kids, you know, rated R properties. And I guess it's the interesting thing now is generally they're not going to take what started as an R-rated for adults property and market it to kids, but they will like take properties that have traditionally been marketed to kids and do R-rated versions. Like look at any DC stuff. But I don't know. That's kind of like, or Marvel stuff for the most part. Disney's just a little less timid about going hardcore with their properties. But
well, I think they're missing out because there's lots of kids that watch adult movies. There were back then and there are now.
Oh yeah, man, like Friday the 13th or Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember like every kid my age and younger singing the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Yeah.
right.
And then like all the raps that use that jingle in it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know, when talking about tornadoes, when I remember being a kid, there was a tornado watch or whatever. We had to go to the basement and hide. And we spent the whole time talking about which of the Friday the 13th movies, or not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street movies was the best. And it was 3, by the way. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Things are very different now. They're definitely still market stuff to kids all the time, but I don't know. I'm not.
You know what still holds up though?
What's that?
the first live action Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh man,
That show holds up,
so good.
right?
Those
How about the?
suits,
How about
were they
the
suits
second?
or were they like
They were suits that had like puppetry in the mouth, and then
Yeah, those
so
were-
there's like a person inside, and then
Mhm.
there was like puppetry in the mouth, and I think there was a voice actor. I don't know that the person in the suit was necessarily doing the voice all the time.
Right, right.
Yeah, because they didn't pay Corey Haim to get into a turtle suit. I know that. Or
Right.
not Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. My bad. It was Feldman.
Right. Corey Feldman was the voice of Donatello, and it was Ernie
Mm-hmm.
Reyes Jr. inside the suit. And then he
Okay.
became Kino in the second movie.
Okay.
Kino!
Does the second movie hold up?
No.
No.
Toka and Razor.
Come
I mean,
on.
and they took away all the,
Babies,
man.
they're babies.
They took away all the weapons for the second movie. Like the closest thing to nunchucks they had was the salamis at the beginning of the.
Oh.
But aren't
Yeah,
nunchucks
you- I mean,
like
like-
not a traditional thing? Really, there's something we made up later.
Was that nunchucks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
But still,
I
That's
think
it,
it's
that-
supposed to be the threshing of the wheat, just like they do in Scar World or Rebel Moon.
oh,
Giver.
you're Rebel Moon Giver.
Yeah.
Before that, I was gonna say, speaking of like nostalgia cartoons, blah blah blah. Have you been keeping up on X-Men '97?
I literally just watched the most recent episode.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
They're doing it all, man. They're doing zero. I was like, are they already doing zero tolerance? Okay, they're doing zero tolerance. And I would not be surprised. Here's my prediction. By the end of this, I don't even know how many episodes there are, so I don't know when the season ends. But my guess is where they're headed. The only thing more brutal than zero tolerance is the legacy virus. So Executioner's Song before this thing's done, baby. And we get strife.
there's 2 more episodes left because I believe, yeah, the last 3 episodes are like a 3-parter. It started with this most recent one. Can't remember something about extinction.
So Xavier just got back to Earth. He's going to end the season in a technovirus coma.
Oh, you think so?
Yep. And then they're going to release the legacy virus, and somebody will die horribly via their own mutant powers.
Xavier crash lands. First off, if everything was fine, he totally just crash landed in the middle of his mansion. But crash lands and he's like, "Am I,
I
too
hope
late?"
I'm
It's
not
like
too late.
You were exactly at the point in time in which it's too late. You couldn't have been more perfectly too late than right now. What are you doing,
Right.
dude? Useless.
Also,
He's useless.
Magneto did a global EMP.
He went Omega.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he went Super Saiyan on that. And like you have no idea how many people are dead now.
Oh,
Genosha, nothing.
You're right. You're right. Anybody that
Anything
was in
with
a
pacemaker?
plane, a lot of
Yeah.
people that were probably driving probably suddenly had a lot of issues. Yeah, anybody with a pacemaker, anybody on any kind of life support.
It's not good. It's
Pacemaker.
not good when Wolverine is the voice of reason and massively underselling it. When he's like, yup, he finally did it. He started the war.
Yo.
And where was Storm? She can fly. Why wasn't she out there zapping people left and right?
What's her thing? Death, life, death? She's having a life-death crisis over here.
I thought she was done with that. Didn't
She is
she,
done with that, but she hasn't come back yet. So,
Yeah.
but now she's got the call. She got to me, my X-Men. That was pretty. This Space Xavier's got some. He's got some big ones. To be like,
Yeah.
like
man.
to me, my X-Men.
It's like, excuse me.
Yeah.
While you
Oh,
were
yeah,
out getting
really?
bird booty,
right.
some major things have gone down. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, long and short of it is, man, that show is
Yeah.
awesome. Pretty much awesome.
I like it. I like it a lot. Talking about like the second Ninja Turtles they didn't even have their weapons anymore or whatever. Now we're not seeing Wolverine. We don't necessarily have blood flying and blood and guts, but Wolverine chopping infected people, and I know at that point they're pretty much, they can reassemble themselves, but I'm also assuming they're pretty much just dead. I don't know.
Yeah, they're basically robots at that point, but yeah.
Just chopping people up. I was like, whoa, okay. They definitely could have
that
done
scene
this
where
in
he's
the
just
90s.
like, thunk. He's just like the one's got spikes through him, and he's that was pretty cool. And the effect where him and Kurt, yeah, you were going there, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool when basically Kurt's pulling Wolverine through his own teleportation, and you get that whole like effect. I was like, whoa, this has never been done. And we had a live action X-Men movie.
Yeah, Melanie even commented on that when we were watching it. Yeah, super cool effect. Basically, yeah, we get a kind of first person view of like what it's like to
bend space time.
Yeah. Yeah, with Nightcrawler.
And also, it seemed a lot more like, I don't know, anime-like, I think, than I had realized it was, or maybe it wasn't, but it is now.
Oh, yeah. No, a while ago I had revisited, not all, but several episodes, maybe the first season of the original X-Men animated series, and I was of the opinion that, like, it's still great compared to a lot of the stuff, but doesn't necessarily hold up. And I still maintain that because, and it's partially, I mean, there's just certain things they couldn't do. I mentioned the Wolverine claws chopping people up because, like, Wolverine could never stab anyone in the Saturday morning cartoon. Like, he just wasn't allowed. So he'd cut things up and maybe punch somebody, but, like,
his job was to open every door.
Yes, like he could never use those things on a living creature. But I think what kind of holds why the older series doesn't hold up super well is partially the production, and the production for the first 3 seasons is pretty good. It's the fourth, I don't know, the last season it definitely takes a hit. It's not bad, it's just a little rough. And it's interesting that what they carried over, the elements of that they carried over to the new series. Like, it still has at times, like, they definitely don't animate like this anymore. Looks a little funky sometimes. But when they go action scene, they definitely pull in a lot of more modern anime style action. It's very smooth, lots of wild camera movements. Yeah, it definitely goes much more anime than the old series. Is it
Damien Dark that is doing the voice of Bastion?
No, it's Theo something. I looked it up because I was like, that voice is so familiar. Let me look it up again.
That's who I kept thinking of. Was like, I think that's Damien Dark.
No, it's somebody who's been in a ton of stuff, a ton of well-known stuff that I've never seen a single thing of. Theo James. But he was in... Hold on, let me pull up I was just looking at this stuff last night. Where's it at? Come on, Google, you track everything we do. Sorry for the pause here, guys.
That's okay, I forgive you.
There we
don't
go.
have anybody watching right now anyway, I don't think.
We had, let's see. So he was in the Divergent movies, which I've never seen. The show The White Lotus, which I have seen some episodes of, but I'm not familiar with him. He was in the TV series of The Time Traveler's Wife.
Oh.
He did a voice in The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolves. I have seen that, actually. He did a voice in The Witcher. Oh, and also the Castlevania anime series, or Netflix series. I know Melanie's watched that. He did the voice of Hector. So he's been in lots of stuff. But when I look at his list, I'm like, oh, maybe he just has kind of a familiar voice. All right, well, we can move on. Depending how the season ends of X-Men 97, might have to revisit it and do like a proper season, I don't know, discussion review of it.
Before we move on, the only other thing that I watched was the end of Fallout, and so, like,
Right.
is there anything that you guys were dancing around that you wanted to circle back to, spoiler-wise?
That's a good question. So spoilers for Fallout Season 1 if you haven't seen it yet. No, it's interesting where you left off, because I feel like just before where you had left off before we talked about the season, or just after where you left off, is when they start like dropping a bunch of the big like
Yeah.
lore. I don't know, the filling in the blanks, dropping a lot of the truth bombs.
Right. Like 31, I was like, man, I did not see 31 coming.
Right.
Like, I knew there was something up, but I did not expect to see a little robot brain dude. And then, like, these people are literally the same people.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if I had mentioned that during when we were talking about it or not, or if I was concerned it was. There was a lot of there
I didn't
are
catch
a lot
it
of
if you did.
there are a lot of people running around in that show that are very old, and it was revealed that the one lady was from before. What's her name? The lady that kidnaps the main character's dad.
Hargrave or Mangrove or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When it was revealed she was from before the bombs initially dropped, I was like, but she's not a ghoul. How does she still look, normal? But then I was like, oh yeah, of course, cryogenics. Like Fallout 4, you play as a character who was alive before the bombs dropped and is cryogenically frozen. So I should have connected that and known that was a possibility. But yeah, they play it. There's a few characters running around that are like 200 something years old. Her mother being in the state she was as a ghoul.
Oh man, yeah,
that was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little weird to me when that one guy's foot healed from that magic potion, which apparently is just ghoul juice. But it can't make you live forever. I mean, apparently it can, but it shouldn't be able to. But that seems to be what was going on with their mom.
I haven't seen anybody talking about this, so maybe there's some Fallout games that established how the ghoul thing works, but I feel like there is some deviation there, because in the games, at least in Fallout 4 in particular, there's one ghoul you come across. Also, I don't recall seeing any ghouls in quite the shape that her mother was in. That seems real extreme. That's Return of the Living Dead ghoul. Like, that's pretty hardcore. If anything, they get like super pale and are feral ghouls, but they don't usually look that nasty. But them having to like keep up on this whatever, or else they turn feral. I don't recall ever coming across that in any of the games. That feels like
it's not, I know, because Gabriel was complaining about that. That was one of the things that he didn't like about it. And that it disagrees with some stuff that was said in New Vegas. I'm not sure, though, what exactly he was talking about.
Right. Yeah, New Vegas, man. That's the one that really... that's the one that Todd Howard's tired of people being like, well, what about in New Vegas? Because that's the one that Bethesda farmed out to Obsidian.
Season 2 is really going to make him mad then, because...
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ghoul thing is weird, because there are ghouls in the games that have been around for 100 to 100 years or whatever, and they're fine, and there's no indication that they need to be on a drug, but that's okay, whatever.
Oh, ghouls just want to have fun.
I can't think of what else. I don't know. So since you've actually finished the season, does it change your overall thought on the season much?
Not too much. I mean, because it's like off to the races once you hit that point. Right. Hey, there's Jasper.
Hey,
just
Jasper,
in time for our recap here. Cap, get it? Ah.
Like bottle caps.
Yeah, bottle caps. That's a currency.
I get it. I get that.
Oh
reference.
yeah. What about the what's his name? Maximus? Magnus?
Maximus?
Magnus? Yeah. Yeah, not Magneto. Maximus.
Um,
Yeah, that whole thing where they're basically, she's like, find me, and he's like, I'm now God of the Brotherhood guy.
yeah.
Dude, that's I was saying it before that last episode or whenever they established that, but I'm like, this guy is the living definition of failing up. He just does the wrong thing at every turn and it's like he right now he should be like the right-hand man of the number one leader now of the Brotherhood. Like he's kind of royalty at this point. No worries, Jasper.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know how to feel about how he ended.
He's a weird character. I don't trust him.
I don't know. I get, if I have any issues, it's with the way that they kind of ended the season, and that's like she's just gonna follow a ghoul around, and like I guess, I mean, nobody else is really trustworthy in her life, so I guess why not? But like,
I don't understand the ghoul's motivations through half of the thing. Like he was trying to find the head to make money. Was that his goal? But then
I think maybe it's a lead on. I mean, because his whole motivation is just to find his family, right?
Overall, yeah.
And maybe his daughter. Like, but what state would his daughter be in? Would his daughter even still be alive? I mean, I guess they're assuming that they're in the vault, but like if they're living in the vault, they're old, like real old, like probably dead already. And if they're not alive in the vault, then they're cryogenically frozen like the ones in 31.
I guess it depends because we still don't know how it went down that he was not in the vault, cryogenically frozen. Right. Because his wife, that was like her whole thing is like setting up them in one of the better vaults. And I'm assuming since she's part of the management, would have been in 31 cryogenically frozen, I'm assuming.
Right.
So,
and he ducked into a vault at the beginning, didn't he? Or was it just a shelter?
I don't recall.
The very first episode when they see the bomb, like he gets his daughter and they jump into something.
They hop on a horse and...
Yeah, I was going to say they ran away.
On a horse, but I don't know how that panned out.
Yeah.
Right.
And the flashbacks never caught up quite that far again, so...
And was that was already New Hollywood, or this is just like, I don't know.
That would have been before the bombs dropped.
Okay, so before the initial bombs. But they had already had some kind of war that he had fought in.
Yeah, that does tie into... I've watched a couple of videos since then. Some of the lore from the video games... that just has to do with like, there was like a world war going on. Like he talks about Anchorage, because Chinese were trying to, or I think maybe Chinese were trying to take Alaska, and like the countries are laid out a little bit different or like divided up differently in the Fallout universe. But yeah, that was a war that had been happening already. But we're apparently close to peace talks when Vault-Tech's like, no, we can't have that. We're dropped the bombs ourselves. Whatever.
And I expected his wife was part of the whole thing, but I didn't expect she was basically like the big bad, it seemed like.
She's kind of at least they used her to explain everything, which made her seem like kind of the ringleader of the situation.
Yeah.
Right. Aside from the dark, shadowy overlord character that we'll maybe get a reveal of sometime.
An Agent Coop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely a like, cool, where's season 2? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, and then there's the one guy who was like, how do you make the guy any less likable? Have him stuff a dog into a cooler.
Right.
Like, man, Ugh.
Well, fortunately, the ghoul, I think it was the ghoul, came across him.
Oh yeah.
He's lucky he saved that dog, because my opinion of him was very low when he shot it, and that was the only thing that made me be like, maybe he's not the worst character in the show.
Right. Yeah, you do what you want to people, but you go around shooting dogs. Nobody's going to like you. They're all going to think you're evil.
There's not a lot of dogs in this universe. That might be the only dog.
Right.
You're not allowed to kill it.
It is the only dog you see running around out in the wild. There are other dogs in that, like, the enclave or whatever they called it, with the scientists. But you don't see any of them out in the wild.
I'm sure regular dogs probably drank up way too much radiated water long ago and turned into something that's going to kill you.
Some other thing, yeah. You have to be a scientist dog in order to be a real dog. So.
Or maybe be cryogenetically frozen, one of the two.
That, yeah.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right. Play that beautiful bean footage.
Bean footage?
Was it roll that beautiful bean footage? Wasn't that bush beans or whatever?
Yes, it was. That's
yes.
the line.
Speaking
Wow, okay.
of nostalgia and everything being a commercial.
Now, I know this bumper is a little out of date. I have not taken the time to update it. But if I did, just know it'd probably be mostly the same, except it would have the robot with the antler head.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Snyder Watch. It's been a while.
It's gonna suck.
That music on that is still so loud. Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver. Worse or better than The Child of Fire or A Child of Fire?
I don't know.
I'm talking just the subtitle.
It wasn't exactly what I expected
subtitle?
it to be. Oh, the subtitle.
I mean, Child of Fire.
Child of Fire or The Scar Giver.
Who is the child? Are all of these about that main chick?
Yes,
So she's the Child of Fire and the Scar Giver?
I think so.
I think she was the Child of Fire, and then she became the Scar Giver.
Yep.
But wasn't she the Scar Giver and then she became the Child of Fire?
Well, she became from a war. I think was why she was the Child of Fire.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I
I did not get that from the subtitle in the first movie at all.
Yeah.
Well, you know, her backstory was just so compelling, and she's such a charismatic, interesting main character.
Yeah. Oh, especially when she gets the Nazi haircuts.
Okay. I'm sorry with the confusion at the beginning. What do you guys think of this? Was it better, worse than the first one? Is that irrelevant? Where you guys stand on this?
I think I'm more annoyed with the second one than I was the first one, and I was not super impressed with the first one.
Interesting. Okay.
But I'm more annoyed with this one because at least in the first one, I could just shut my brain off and enjoy some pretty cool action sequences. I was able to do that and just have some suspension of disbelief and just dumb out on it. But then this movie happened, and all the stuff that was dumb in the first movie was somehow dumber.
Okay. Interesting. Melanie, what about you?
I think it was exactly what I expected it to be. It wasn't worse or better to me. It was equally trash.
So my take is interestingly the opposite of like the opposite of Jesse's, like take his reasoning and flip it with the movies for me, because the dumbness of the first one was so irritating and to me, and there wasn't enough enjoyable action scenes in the first one for me. This one, you sit through the dumbness and it's dumb, but it's not quite as annoying to me. It's just kind of dull. Like, it's not as annoying to me as the first one. It's just kind of dull. And maybe also, like, the first one set the standard of, like, don't expect anything for interesting character work or interesting dialogue. But this one felt like once they kind of get into it, it's just a big action scene. And there were some things in it that I enjoyed the action more in this one. I could turn my brain off, ignore the dumbness, and enjoy more of the action scene in this one than the first one.
I couldn't, because it was so dumb. It took me out of the action that was not dumb. The action was cool, but then there was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I missed a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Because now you got me thinking about, why is there a statue in the middle of a spaceship that's powered by coal?
Yeah.
That was cold down there, wasn't it?
What the heck?
Oh my god.
Maybe it was dark matter. You know.
It was coal.
Well, it had to be something magical because they were just sliding down, falling in a ship that was in free fall, which, you know, generally that means you're floating, not falling.
Belching the blackest black tar exhaust that coal could ever possibly spew. In space.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I actually enjoyed that last action sequence, even though Melanie's correct in that they shouldn't, like, the ship's going down and they're sliding and kind of falling down through it, and that shouldn't be the case. They should be floating, if anything, because they're all in a free fall. Mm-hmm. But I thought there was a couple janky looking stuff when it clearly, like, the camera and the characters and everybody just went CG. But for the most part, like, I thought there was some kind of cool little action things in there.
I think I know what it is. Randy likes the action in this one because he got fooled by the fake Furiosa.
I did not get fooled by the fake Furiosa. The fake Furiosa, it was awful and a sham. See, and that's the thing, like, I already understood in the first one that I'm not going to be attached to any of these characters, and I wasn't throughout this. I'm a little surprised and slightly disappointed they didn't kill more of their little motley crew of heroes. They only killed the farmer, who, like Melanie said when we were watching, he doesn't count. He's not special like one of them.
Oh, they fridged the mother with swords.
Yeah.
She was like, that was pretty disappointing because first off, her whole character is, she looks
the
moody.
Jedi.
Somebody mentions her being a mother or some type of mother or there being a child, and she looks more moody, and that's her entire character. And then, like, I expected her to do awesome things. She kind of got bogged down with fighting 4 dudes in the barn and then got killed. And it's like, oh, she kind of sucked. she wasn't good. When she fought the spider, she had to get saved by the by the heroes that showed up. Somebody helped them, and then in the barn, a child saved her. So, like, that kind of sucks. Also, an interesting choice to have the farmer guy to basically our awesome deserves the tagline and the titles of both movies, Child of Fire, Scargiver. Didn't actually end up defeating the bad guy. The farmer did. He saved her while she was getting choked out. And I was like, that's a decision.
He's bleeding everywhere, even though a plasma laser would cauterize the wound. But let's ignore that. So he's bleeding everywhere. And she's just going to cry over him instead of, putting pressure on the wound, doing anything to try and help. Whatever.
Well, I think she knew, like Okay, it does get the listen. There's a
Yeah,
lot of dumb.
let's talk about your awesome action for just one.
I was about to say, Jesse, there's a lot of dumbness in the action because I think she probably didn't try to save him because she knew while they were crashing in that little ship, he wasn't strapped into anything. He was laying in the back, so somehow he didn't fly out the back. But he was just ping ponging around. He had to have been pulverized and just massive internal hemorrhaging. She probably knew this.
Can we talk about how everyone is good at shooting until they're shooting?
You had mentioned that.
No one can hit anything. There's so many bullets. There's all of the shooting, and no one dies.
Anthony Hopkins, though, he's a good shot.
Well, he's a good shot, yeah. But we didn't see him train and be like, whoa, you're a natural.
Well, he doesn't have to train. He's a machine.
I will say, I watched it with that in mind because, Jesse, you'd mentioned it in our chat group yesterday.
Titus can stand anywhere he wants.
No, see, the farmers and the heroes, when they did fire, actually, when they made a point to show like somebody shooting at a bad guy, they actually were pretty accurate. They would hit the bad guys. The bad guys can hit no one.
No, they're trained and they can't hit anyone.
But they're stormtroopers. I mean, they're whatever. It's not really, but they are. They're stormtroopers.
But if you're a super Nazi brought back from the dead, you can kill anyone without any weapons.
Yeah.
They did superpower him up.
You could just jump in a hole and kill 3 guys quick.
Yeah.
And they have guns.
Yeah, those guys in the holes, they weren't very good shots.
At all.
And I think they blew those holes a little preemptively because there was a lot of people later getting shot at with nowhere to hide. They're like ducking down behind a rock, Would have been nice to have some holes then.
Yes.
And it is one of those things where the population of this very small village is in constant flux. Sometimes the whole village is there and you're like, okay, well, that's not that very many people. They're doomed. And during the battle, you do like, they're very coy about it, but you do see random villagers get blown away, and there are huge explosions that would naturally have to kill a whole lot of people. But at no point does the village crowd ever shrink down to like. In fact, it kind of just like gets larger and larger. There might be more villagers after the army came in and killed a bunch of villagers. So,
and grain is either the most important thing ever, so important that you can't even shoot at them, or who cares? Kill everyone.
That was my thing. I was like, do you think they really care about the grain? And also, they tried to play at the beginning, like, you're safe now. We killed the one guy, so the entire empire will just never they'll never send another patrol out to this section of space.
They have to go home because the guy's dead. That's protocol.
Once an admiral dies, the empire just has to give up where they were patrolling. They can never return. Like, that was just silly in itself. Like, why even waste the time entertaining that idea just to have, like, the one soldier guy who stayed behind come back and be like, nope, they're coming in 5 days.
The grain thing actually had a little bit of an explanation, which I appreciated. One of the few things I did appreciate. Because they were talking about, we can't shoot the grain, we can't go back without the grain, we'll starve or whatever. And he's like, well, there's less mouths to feed if we blow it up because all the soldiers are down there.
That's true. I get the purpose of the grain. If it wasn't so transparent that the main bad guy...
Is it that grain plus coal equal gravity in space?
Yeah.
Is that the science?
You figured it out.
How...
Oh, you know what? I think I know why they're such bad shots, because they're blind. Like, walking around this big giant statue face and nobody sees like 14 little glowing
Oh my God! Yeah,
bombs on them.
Blinking bombs attached to the front
just
of it.
all of us. Yeah, I was just like, there's a lot of time for them to see that there's some problem, and
Literal
it's
lights in a dark room.
So many people shoveling coal. They love shoveling coal so much that they can't look up ever.
It is odd also that it was a statue. It had a face, and when she like put the bombs on it, the eyes of the thing started glowing blue. Why?
No, that's not weird. That's Zack Snyder all over it.
Why?
We were one glowing eye away from a sky hole.
Speaking of Zack Snyder all over it, do we really?
He loves him some wheat. He loves him some grains, man.
Do we really need
oh my god, fondling of the grain. Yeah.
Epic slow-mo shots
of everything.
Of every step of harvesting and making wheat and grain. That's where he fails so bad, because you could tell, like, he puts these scenes together and he's like, this is emotion. And it's like,
yeah.
No, this is hammy. You picked, it's like mundane thing, people doing mundane things in slow motion, set to like whatever cheesy, epic, emotional music you put behind it, and just holding on these shots for so long. It's like, this is not, no.
And it's not appropriation if you steal from everyone.
Oh, the appropriation bit. Yeah, okay.
We've got a Viking longhouse. When we have a party, we're going to dance to Scottish and or Irish music. Our friend is a space Indian.
Yeah.
So there's that.
At least a quarter.
You've got a samurai chick. She's cool. Yeah. And then let's sing a song of my people before we get inspired.
Okay, so the guy walks, they're all partying in this scene, in that scene, right? And the guy doesn't announce anything. He doesn't do anything dramatic. He just walks forward in the middle of the room, and everybody stops and looks at him. And it's like, he was just a dude walking across the room. How did you know he was going to walk up and do this emotional, weird song that seemed out of place?
Right. At least Anthony Hopkins, they're like, what the hell is that thing?
Right.
That bugged me a bit too, because it's like a robot shows up and everyone on both sides stops shooting. It's like,
oh yeah.
Why would you stop? Just keep shooting.
Yeah. right. I'll get a gun. We'll shoot him. It'll be fun. Scott Evil.
Random constant laser overlay over the footage, like has been going the whole time, where there's 100 lasers going, and just keep it going. Like it's weird that everyone stopped shooting. But maybe they were thrown by like, well, who is this robot with antlers and horns on his head? What's going on?
Right.
And when they were fighting in the ship, I don't understand really the purpose of her hurting her hand and then having to wrap that thing, but I liked that little bit too, because stuff will malfunction, and I think it's fun to have it for no apparent reason.
Yeah, no,
yeah, that didn't bug me. It did confuse me, but it was like, oh, all right, okay. For whatever reason, her sword doesn't work right, or
well, she like ganked it from one of the from the guy she was fighting. So it's either it just started malfunctioning because it like zapped her or whatever, fell on the ground, and it was like zzz, and she had to like hit it, which I thought was kind of humorous. But maybe it's or
it's designed like you have to have their armor, and their armor is like, oh, so you can't just take our weapons and use them against us. You have to have space hands first.
Yeah, I like that too. It might have just been malfunctioning.
Yeah,
but I like that too. Just a little thing that's not explained. That's almost like interesting. I don't know, world building in a way. Just this little thing. You don't have to over-explain it. You don't have to have a nonsense narration to open
a broken
your movie.
Clock is right twice a day.
That's a good point.
Especially if it's powered by coal.
Maybe there was a 20-minute scene cut out that's going to be in the Snyder
Oh,
cut
God, I hope so.
that explains why it did that.
Yeah.
You know what? I think if we want to get through to Snyder, somebody needs to not try to appeal to him vocally, but instead through pictographs that convey emotion, and then he'll understand.
Yeah, because he doesn't get the words so good. It's not great with the poetics and the word making.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue is so bad all the time, and there's no actual character building. Like they did the little like, because this is a natural thing to do. I'm not big on confessions, but let's go around and confess stuff at this table.
My God, yeah.
That's not forced. And each thing was like how the what did they call them? They're not the. It's not the Empire. They're not the the Imperium. So not the
Is that really what they're called?
It's the Imperium.
Oh, good.
They changed like a couple letters at the end. It's not Star Wars, I swear.
Oh, come on.
The Imperium like just ruined their lives, right? And they're all it's very cliche. The whole thing is it's a war movie, so it's all kind of war movie cliches. But that was weird. I will say though, one of the flashback of the fake Furiosa, the not Furiosa, had a really cool shot, a cool sequence where it's like one shot and there's like explosions and then the rebels or the rebellion shows up or whatever. Also, by the way, rebellion showing up after they've destroyed the dreadnought, pointless. But what was my point? Oh, that's it for backstory and character building for those specifically those three characters that they didn't attempt any kind of backstory or character building. I don't know. It's the characters are just so bland and cliche and lame. And that's where we've talked about it before. Snyder's he doesn't care about character or character building or character interaction. He's purely visual. That's it. He's a purely visual guy. He's like, let's shoot this wheat scene like a commercial in slow-mo and put some emotional music, and that's emotion, right? You feel human emotion now. Cool, let's blow some stuff up.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, none of the explosions worked the way they would. That thing is supposed to be a planet killer. It didn't do anything, and then the whole ship, like a comet, you could say, slammed into the moon, and nothing happened. I don't buy it.
Oh yeah.
I will say, they saved the village, like especially when like she happened to blow it up right as they were about to shoot, and the shot went off and went over the village and blew up over there, and then the crash. They may have saved the village. They're all gonna die of starvation because those fields are done. They're done. Those fields were all incinerated.
Oh, and they harvested a whole basically planet in 2 days or something. Like, we're going to get up early, but then all the people who were going to get up early weren't going to get up early because they're not farmers. The farmers have got to wake up those lazy bones.
That was something Melanie and I were debating. Is that because I feel like in the first one they established that's not the only village on the planet. And I know it's like a moon, but like it still doesn't make sense that would be the only village because they go to like a town. There's like smugglers or whatever. They had that scene in that bar where they picked up that guy.
Was that on the same planet?
I thought it was.
Ah.
I thought it was. I'm not going to rewatch the movie to tell you if it was or not, but I thought it was. But then Melanie's point is like, either that's the one village or like, what, they just don't care about anyone else on that? Like the Imperium is only concerned with the wheat and the villagers in that one village? Like,
well, and our mighty hero, her motivations and her the things she care about are so fluid. Like, 1 minute she can't love, right? Like in the first movie, it was all about, I don't even know if I'm okay. I don't even know if I deserve to love. Mm-hmm. Remember that line? That was one of my favorites from the first movie. And that's how I know that Snyder's good at dialogue. And then in this, she's just in love. She's just, boom, I'm in love, right? And then the person I'm in love with respects me so much that when I choose to sacrifice myself to avoid the fight entirely, which would have been a dumb ending, he shoots the bell. But we just roll with it. I'm never going to actually get mad at him. I'm just going to respect him as the man who shot the bell.
Mm-hmm. But she should have known better. Everybody else knew better.
Right.
They wouldn't have.
Oh, it was
gone away
dumb.
just because
It was
they
a
got
dumb
her.
thing, yeah. But like, why even have that beat then? You know, like, why? It was such a non-conflict. So
Yeah, I don't really understand why they even had a little chat. You know. It was dumb. They should have just started rocket launching them as soon as they got into the atmosphere.
Yes, I'm totally going to hand myself over to you because your Imperium has always, forever been trustworthy to me. As preference, as reference in my little backstory.
The best part of the whole freaking thing, they had that little orchestra there, and then when she gets the gun, they're all like, "Oh, gotta please change our tune up, get some conspiracy music going on."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and she runs and it gets all exciting. It's like, this is an interesting choice to have, like, the music that is very definitely synced to, like, the scene and what's happening be an actual, like, I can't remember the word they use for it, but, like, actual orchestra there in the scene. Yeah, that was, again, that was a decision. And I know he's doing the Star Wars build a franchise thing, but I kind of wish he would, like, give one of these movies an ending.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just...
I was so ready for this to be The Empire Strikes Back because this was supposed to be the, like a Star Wars build, right? And so you got to have, like, some stakes at some point. But really, this was Return of the Jedi. And I don't know what the heck the next movie is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, like, pretty early on, I was like, they're not going to, like, even... like, we don't ever go back to, like, really the, like, the king guy or the emperor guy. I guess you see him in that flashback, but, like, the main emperor guy.
But the girl's alive.
Who cares? No, you're right. You're right.
God, what was the line? And the line is so dumb. I've blocked it from my mind. It made me angry. But they said it 2 or 3 times. It was like, yeah, we can do it now.
Yeah.
We're gonna find.
We're gonna fight. It was like we're gonna fight. Something as dumb as that. I was like, you know what? We don't do everything great, but we can fight, and we're gonna fight. It was like to that level.
So Snyder has expressed a desire. Obviously, this is to set up a franchise, and he pitched it to Netflix as, like, a Star Wars-like franchise. Now, this part 1 and part 2, I'm assuming were filmed, I'm guessing, consecutive, like, at the same time or whatever. But, like, they were definitely, like, these were kind of ready to go. And they split it into 2 and dropped part 1, part 2. But I don't believe that's the case with part 3. I don't believe it was...
If they split it into 2, then this is all episode 1. And that's why you didn't get your Empire Strikes Back, dang it.
Yeah, that's... He's playing such a long game. I'm sure that's it.
Apparently he hopes to get 6 movies out of this.
Ugh.
Here's the thing though, like,
he knows this is Netflix, right?
Do you think Netflix
He's looking to get 3. You get 3 and that's it, man.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know how well these are doing for Netflix. I mean, there are some stats on it, I guess.
I mean, it's in their trending, but you know how well that worked for Archive 81.
So, the Scargiver, according to comicbook.com, the Scargiver got 38 million viewing hours during its second week on Netflix, which was down from the 44 million hours it got during the first week. And as a result, it dropped from topping Netflix's movie charts during the first week to the 7th in the US. I don't know. I don't know what that means, really. A Child of Fire got 54 million during its opening week. So this one definitely got less.
I don't know what they were expecting, though.
I mean, these were definitely I will say, Snyder's movies are almost always, Army of the Dead or whatever was kind of ugly, but are almost always very good looking. This had some really good effects. There was at least one sequence that I thought was like, oh, that was like one shot that was super novel, super interesting. I really liked. Generally, it looks very good. His movies, though, that's never up for debate.
Right.
He's a visual guy. That's kind of his fault. Like, he's visual to a fault, and the story and logic suffer because of it.
Yeah.
But these do not look like cheap movies. I don't know. I don't have the number of them, the budget in front of me, but these had to be expensive. I really wonder if I almost feel like it's not going to get a part 3, but that's really up to Netflix. I don't know how well these do for Netflix.
If they give this a part 3 when there's so many good shows that they canceled, I'm going to be unhappy about it.
Yeah, Netflix, it's so iffy because, man, there are shows that I've been curious about on Netflix that I'm like, I'm not even going to start it. That's a 1-season show. I guarantee it. And unless it's a one and done, I'm not interested. Netflix has such a habit of like canceling super interesting shows before they wrap up.
They do it so often. This is almost like trolling everybody. You know what I mean? They're like, we're going to keep making crap.
You know what? In that regards, we are going to probably get 6 Rebel Moon movies.
We're going to get so many of these.
And spin-offs. It's like...
Yeah.
It's like the Sandler movies. I'm sure people watch those. I've never watched a single Netflix Adam Sandler movie. I have no interest. They keep making them. Of course, that's different, though, because those are dirt cheap. All you got to do is pay for Sandler and his friends to go on vacation, and you got a movie. But
right.
I didn't even know they had Netflix Sandler movies, but that's fine.
Yeah, oh yeah, he had like a deal worked out with them, like Herbie Halloween and some other random crap.
What was it? It was like his take on the Magnificent Seven. Didn't he have like a?
I feel like that might have been well, he might have done like a Western. I think Seth MacFarlane did a Western for Netflix that was like a comedy. Yeah, it was like Yeah, you're right. Something like that. So ratings, any articles I've seen about this, and I haven't read any, but going by just the headlines, is this movie is getting trashed pretty hard. According to Google, the audience ratings via Google, I don't know how many people actually do their ratings on Google. 60% of Google users like the movie, sitting at 3.2.
So a lot of bots. Weird, because the coolest thing about this whole thing has been a robot.
A robot that's, again, was in like...
almost none of it.
So underused. He's like not so unimportant. It's so weird. He has 2 scenes of note, and then he just shows up like literally on the periphery in several shots. That's it.
And then they want to tease you like he's going to do something in the third one. It's like, oh wait, she's alive. I have purpose. Maybe I should do more.
He is a very moody robot. He's like, you're gonna lose. Thanks, dude. Why did you show up in this waterfall to tell me that?
Right. Yeah.
Just screw off to your forest creatures.
So that's right. Yeah.
Get out.
Go collect some more dead animal.
Yeah.
Antler.
Wrap some carcasses around your face and go to bed. Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting at 50%, which is higher than I would have expected.
Yeah.
IMDb, it's got a 5.2 out of 10. Letterboxd, on the other hand, is not faring as well. The average rating is 1.9 out of 5.
Ooh.
And that's a whole lot of... There's a whole lot of 2 stars and unders.
Yeah.
Very few comparatively, 4 to 5 stars. But,
well,
so you would have given this more stars than the first one?
I'm going to. I haven't rated it yet. I double checked. I was like, what's my rating? I think I gave the first one 1.5. Even that feels a little high to me now because I was pretty angry about the first one. Let me double check that. 1.5. For half a second.
Sorry.
What?
Snyder needs a partner. He needs, you know how a lot of them, like the Coen brothers, it's both of them always, or not always, but usually. He needs that other person to like do the important stuff, and then he'll make it look pretty.
Yeah, because like Zack Snyder will be like, I want to make Sucker Punch, and then that other guy will just slap him.
He'll sucker punch him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't watched that one. I've never watched Sucker Punch.
No, don't.
Uh,
I don't know how you can make something so beautiful, so dumb, and so boring.
It's interesting. It is kind of an M. Night Shyamalan, Stephen Moffat issue where it's like there's some aspect of their talent where they're super talented. They're potentially great, but they can't help themselves. They can't reel themselves in certain respects, and they all need a writing partner. Really, they need somebody like Moffat. Maybe needs an editor or somebody like when he does stuff for RTD. It's usually great when he does stuff on his own. He flounders in the sticking the landing. And then M. Night like has good ideas, but like he's such a ham. I don't know. Snyder just needs to stop being a director. Be a cinematographer. Or work with the director on the storyboards or something. Like you're such a visual director.
We just need someone to be like, no, dude, this is where you clearly have spread yourself too thin.
Right.
This is the one.
Maybe one of his several girlfriends could tell him to.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that he was actually dating all those chicks in the picture, but they made it seem that way.
But yeah, no, my overall opinion is like, yeah, I liked it more than the first one, but I was very uninterested when the first Wild, and I was like, okay, finally, we're to the battle, and that's show me some pretty visuals. I'm not expecting anything else. And the people call us haters, or you're just a Snyder hater, but it's like, but my expectations at this point are so low. It takes so little to impress me. In being a Snyder hater, I'm actually giving him a lot of leeway to like win me on board.
Sure, yeah.
We watched this right before this. And so we didn't really have time to pause it for anything. But I needed to take a break for my personal stuff. And I did. And I didn't, to my knowledge, miss anything important to the movie at all.
Yeah, no, she stepped away when they were doing the confessions at the table. So you missed some of the backstory for some of the characters that don't matter or are totally uninteresting.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can leave a movie for 10 minutes and not miss anything, that's not a very good movie.
I mean, you could kind of do that at any point during this movie too, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's several points where you could step away for 10 minutes and not miss a single character or
you could
story.
miss some of the coolest stuff and still know totally what's happening and be like,
Right.
Is it still going?
Right. People don't seem to understand that, because I remember getting into some debates with the first one, because I was had a much stronger opinion on the first one. People don't really get didn't really get my beef about the characters. Look, yeah, but it just got cool stuff. And it's like, yeah, but well, never mind. I'm not going to win this argument.
I'm sure nobody's going
to want to see cool stuff.
Understand why I'm so mad about the spaceships. But in the first one, they were just spaceships, and I could handle that. But now they're trains in space.
Right. And Melanie had beef with this. I actually kind of liked it because he's got such a weird mix of like weird futuristic technology with old technology, but the fact that they had the little wheels to turn the big gun turret.
Yeah. Oh, that made me mad too. And it was like, oh, this takes forever just to point a gun. They have so much time. This is going to come right down to the last minute because he can't turn a wheel fast enough.
I mean, it's not like spaceships that go across the galaxy could have some kind of targeting system, built into the computer system or anything like that.
And in the last movie, the exact same giant dreadnought, that was the same thing, right? Wasn't that a dreadnought that they took down in the last one where all they had to do was punch a gunner in the face? Yeah, or kill that guy and then the whole thing crashes? Isn't that the same? His gun did not have wheels on it. He had the gun with the buttons and the computer, but the biggest gun has a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in case you need to turn it. I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting.
You can't turn the big gun without a wheel.
That kind of,
what is that wheel attached to that can turn something that big?
a whole lot of gears and neon lights.
Oh God.
that ties into the cultural appropriation, just appropriating everything. We're just gonna take bits of everything. Oh,
Homesteaders.
This spaceship has this spaceship gunner position is basically just a pilot's cockpit, and this one is a submarine. It was system.
It was a submarine. Yeah.
And logic, it doesn't matter. No logic is required.
Submarine coal train.
We're just gonna
in space.
If we're meshing together old timey and futuristic stuff, Fallout did it way better than this one did.
Oh yeah. I'll forgive bottle caps as a currency before I'll forgive this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what I'm gonna rate this. It'll be a 2. I can't go 2.5. I debated 2.5, and I was like, 2.5 is I like it, and I can't do that.
2.5 is 50%, and Rotten Tomatoes is wrong.
Yeah.
It's so. I talked about this a lot. I don't like his casting a lot of times. I mean, I know it's not necessarily all Snyder. There's a whole team of people. There's casting directors. I don't like the casting for some of this film. Some of them I like, but none of even those people aren't backed up by really particularly interesting characters. Mm-hmm. It's the lady with the swords who cut off her own arms so she could attach those robot arms or whatever. The only character trait is her weird hang up about being a mom at some point in time. That's the only thing they played on.
The creepy kid, the blonde kid that's just infatuated with her for reasons.
Yeah, their weird stares at each other bonded them.
Yeah.
The bare minimum, just to keep cool plot stuff happening, or what you expect to happen in this kind of movie. Just do the bare minimum to get to that point.
It's not even the bare minimum. Make the Native American a Native American. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
If you're going to steal the
Yeah.
culture.
If you're going to steal the culture, at least give them props. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we're just haters. What do we know? We just hate Zack Snyder.
I know that Irish and Viking are two different countries.
Not in space.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I forgot about Magic Coal.
The space Nazis are so space Nazi.
Oh,
man.
they're so, yeah.
The Nazi thing is so on the nose.
Yeah, way more than Star Wars Nazis, and those were really on the nose.
Right. There's even talk about cleansing the bloodlines and cleansing the ethnic impurities or something like that. It's dude. There should be more aliens standing around here. What?
But that was when he betrayed her when he said that, right?
Yeah.
Why did he go and adopt her and train her and all this just to do that? Was that his plan? Because that's a really dumb plan. And if that was, the thing,
do
it
look like
doesn't make any sense for
with
me
a plan?
to have her do that and then betray her. What did he gain from that?
To shoot, to have a fall person, to shoot the little girl after he killed the king and whatever, and to have a plot that didn't make any sense. It's really you're gonna frame somebody right in front of a big group of people, and they're all gonna just be like, "Yeah, you killed him." It's I mean, you guys just killed him, but okay.
Maybe it's because she was like, "Dad, your beard looks a little fake," and you just couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Almost as fake as my Nazi hair.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So next installment of Snyder Watch is going to be Extended Cut, which will add an hour to each movie. An hour.
Oh man, this should be Zack Snyder, the scar giver. The mental scar giver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well, it
we'll
definitely
keep
wasn't
fighting
amazing.
because we can fight.
It wasn't amazing, Melanie. Man, I wish we knew of something that was
It was
amazing.
so.
Get
It was
taste
amazing.
out of our mouths.
I'll tell you what's amazing. Vaccines. Especially
Oh,
since
no.
CRISPR came out.
Oh,
But now a new vaccine has been created to fight glioblastoma, which is the most aggressive and fatal type of brain cancer. The new medicine delivers messenger RNA that's taken from the tumor itself, with sort of a chemical instruction manual on how to turn each gene on or off. And this helps the immune system to get past the tumor's protective microenvironment that it creates, which it's your body, so it's really hard for your immune system to attack itself. But this will help it, get through that. And because it's the immune system attacking itself, it has side effects that are similar to when you get sick, other times. So it's like nausea, fever, chills, stuff like that. And then it starts working right away. Like I think they said you can see things start happening within like 24 to 48 hours. And then once it starts working, it works really rapidly. But so after diagnosis, most patients' life expectancy is 6 months. And of the 4 patients so far that have been given the vaccine, 1 lived for 8 months, 2 lived for 9 months, and the other one, they haven't released any info on the last one yet. But right now they're testing to find out like what kind of a dose they can give people, how often they need to give it to people, and all that, while still being safe and keeping the side effects down to a minimum, so that they know that it works. They just don't know how much to give people before it's too much. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what they're doing now. And then they're hoping that this small success, because obviously these people did not survive in the end. Hopefully they will. But they're trying to build upon this success, the small successes that they've made, with other treatments. This is your immune system attacking it itself. They didn't get any chemotherapy or anything like that. So hopefully if they put the two together, it'll help save lives. And even if it doesn't, they're like, at least this shows people that we can do things to help our own bodies fight other diseases, to help us live longer or whatever. So that's exciting.
yeah.
For sure.
A vaccine against cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. That whole, is it the RNA vaccines?
Yeah.
Like that whole
science
is potentially.
But it's killing millions of people.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
So.
What, the cancer or the mRNA?
mRNA, yeah. It's killing so many. I mean, before it's all said and done.
It's killing us slowly, like, breathing.
I mean, really
It's
slowly,
oxidizing
but.
us.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's interesting science, and it could save us all. Don't listen to the nutbags.
Yeah. You can at least get a couple more months if you want them.
Right.
You'll be sick the whole time, but you would have been sick anyway. No, that's interesting. And yeah, like I could see definitely, first off, like you don't want to give somebody too much because they'll get super sick, but also like if the idea is it can make your immune system fight against itself. Like if you overdo that, that's definitely not a good thing.
Right. Yeah, that's how you get autoimmune diseases. But I think having it be able to participate at all increases the chances if they use other therapies, I would imagine.
And it only has a small chance of turning the frogs gay. So,
Well,
that's classic. That's a classic.
we really can't have that.
It was so serious. It's good delivery. I want to make an amendment to something I said earlier about the Rotten Tomato Rebel Moon Part 2 score. It's 50% audience score. You want to know what the critic score is?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Please.
15%.
Yeah, okay.
That's
now
yeah.
we're on track here.
Yeah. I mean, both can be swayed. Like it's kind of been a proven fact that like there are companies that work with studios to like sway the critic score of movies and stuff, but the actual tomato meter, whatever, is 15%. So that's.
And I don't always agree with that either. Like
Right.
sometimes they're like really harsh on a movie. It was like, this was not that bad, but also
Yeah, and
this was.
I think part of the problem, part of the 50% problem is there's too many people nowadays that spend all their time, or have spent all their time, I should say, playing video games and not reading. And that's why, to them, this is a great movie. Look at all this pretty shots in action. They don't need character development because they never have character development. You know what I mean?
Well, and I mean, there's a lot of games that have better character development too, though.
That's true.
But no, I see what you're saying, and I think kind of more so it's the like, because I never do this, and I think a lot of people do it. I know Jasper does it. I don't know if he's still watching, but they're on their phone while they're watching stuff. They're on their phone doing stuff while they're watching a movie, and it's like you're not watching the movie though. Then I know Jasper used to do that for GCU movies, and I'm like, oh, but and if that's the case, you're only half paying attention. So anytime it's talking boring stuff, you're probably on your phone scrolling, and then you look up when action stuff happens. And that's like my beef with, and I talked about this a lot with the first one, and like it really popped front and center in my mind when I was watching that Super Mario Brothers movie, is like all the connective tissue that makes like these the movies that a lot of these tropes come from, these action and adventure movies, all the connective tissue and the interesting character stuff, like they don't need to worry about that. They just need to hit the main beats that makes it seem like one of those great action movies or great adventure movies, because half the audience is either kids or they're on their phones, not really paying attention to the connective tissues anyway. So long as they hit the main beats, it's fine. And that's kind of my beef with a lot of just Zack Snyder things. He's just kind of hitting the beats, but there's not a lot of actual soul there, despite the long slow motion stuff set to emotional music.
Yeah. I agree.
Sorry, we got back into it again. All right. Hey, Jesse, you got anything you want to mention before we bounce out of here?
No. Oh, well, other than, I guess, Free Comic Book Day is coming up. So support your local comic book shop. I will be at Krypton Comics if you're in Nebraska. So that's
nice.
In Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I will be doing another Edge of the Abyss broadcast tomorrow, so definitely check it out. Last week, I was supposed to go to Drive-In Double Feature, zombie movies, so I had pre-recorded a zombie-themed Edge of the Abyss, and because of tornado weather, the double feature got canceled, and I wasn't able to go Saturday, so I missed my zombie double feature. But I think I'm going to slide those tickets, because I pre-ordered them, to... They're doing a Back to the Future triple feature here in a couple weeks. A week and a half? Next weekend, not this coming weekend. That I might end up doing instead. So,
yeah, that's solid.
Yeah. So Abyss.show, if you like metal, go listen to it. Go check out Abyss.show. I've got all the replays up there. Other than that, that's it. StreamYard, check it out, StreamYard.com.
Right, and isn't it soon we're gonna go back to the cheap sign?
Yeah, I was about to say we won't need to be promoting StreamYard starting next week. So StreamYard.com
but we will, because you'll see their logo in the corner.
You're right. Our badge of cheapness. But yeah, we got a referral link probably in the description. It automatically puts it in there. I'm going to turn that off next week. And Grawlixpodcast.com/humble. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great weekend. If you want to hear more, go to Grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. Bye everybody. I don't know what happened to my energy at the end.
Bye.